It is June 9th, 2025, Monday. Now, I decided this morning I should cover this topic because there's things that people need to be aware of. First off, by now you should be aware rioting, not peaceful protesting, has been going on in LA all weekend. The media is trying to pass this off that this is just peaceful protests, people airing out their grievances against the evil Donald Trump. No, if you are looting businesses, attacking people, burning businesses, burning vehicles, attacking police, you are rioting. You are not peacefully protesting. Remember, the people that are calling this peaceful for protests are the same people that called what happened on January 6, 2021 an insurrection. So two different rules depending on which group is doing what. Now, how did this start? Reportedly on Friday, ICE, DEA, FBI, and law enforcement performed raids in LA. They went after known cartel members and gang members who were illegal aliens. Most of these were warrants being executed on federal cases that had been investigated for a very long time. Things like child trafficking, human trafficking, drugs, weapons, you name it. I'm sure that's in there on the different warrants. I haven't even seen the complete breakdown yet of all the charges against the people that were being rounded up. Now, little bleeding heart liberals in LA, while this was going on, immediately jumped on social media and they started typing out that ICE was going around rounding up innocent women and children to deport them out of the country just because of their skin color. Completely ignoring these are known criminals. So we had protests then start up, people showing up to stand in the way of ICE as they were doing the raids. It escalated from there into people started attacking the ICE agents and other federal agents that were performing these raids. And it's only gotten worse. It has snowballed. We are definitely in the rioting stage now. Businesses are getting burned, getting looted. Even mainstream media is showing footage of that as they're calling this peaceful protests. Now, the groups that have been identified so far as participating in these riots in sizable numbers. First off, we are seeing Black Bloc Antifa appearing in LA. Now, Black Bloc Antifa is the militant wing of Antifa. These are the revolutionaries, the anarchists, the ones who are willing to do what needs to be done to bring in the socialist utopia in the United States. They're the ones that you see dressed in all black, head to toe, with face masks. That is Black Bloc Antifa. We are also seeing cartels and Hispanic gangs in LA are getting involved because they're the ones who were getting targeted by law enforcement during those raids. And there is word that as the media describes it, a BLM type organization out of Mexico has joined the rioting. This organization is La Raza. These are Hispanic supremacists who believe in a concept called Reconquista, where the entire southwest of the United States is returned to Mexico because it is a province that was stolen from Mexico in the 1840s. These people are nut jobs. They are no different than any other supremacist group you see in any race. They believe they are head and shoulders above everyone else and everyone else is garbage. Now, this is starting to spread. As you see up here, this is just one of the notices people are finding online. Other protests, we don't know if it'll escalate into rioting yet, but protests are being organized across the country. Places that I've seen notices on included New York City, Atlanta, Providence, Rhode Island, Minneapolis, and Chicago. I think Denver was in there also on one of the notices I had seen. Those protests are supposed to kick off tonight, Monday evening, or tomorrow evening, Tuesday at latest. And we will see what happens at these protests. If they will escalate into rioting, or are they just going to be a bunch of whiny little bitches and toss some stuff at the police and that's the end of it. We'll find out. Now, this is not the first time this was tried. I'm sure you people forgot. Last week, before the stuff kicked off in LA, remember they tried the same thing in Minneapolis. Law enforcement in Minneapolis, Minnesota, along with ICE and the DEA, did raids in Minneapolis, and they were rounding up cartel and gang members on drug charges. They tried doing protests and riots in Minneapolis, but it went nowhere. It died out real quick, and I didn't hear shit in the news about it after 24 hours of the event. And the protesters that showed up in Minneapolis for that stuff, they were getting laughed at across social media. Pointed out that, hey, you guys are defending child traffickers, you guys are defending drug dealers. Even leftist groups were getting after him about that one. Well, it's now spread into California, and it's being more successful there because California is a more socialist state than Minnesota is. Now, in California, we are seeing politicians are backing the quote-unquote protests. They're backing the riots. Governor Newsom has done everything he can to stand in the way of President Trump federalizing National Guards and also deploying them on the streets into LA. Reportedly, Trump had messaged Newsom saying, hey, these riots are getting out of hand. You need to deploy the National Guard. Newsom and his administration responded, these are peaceful protests, go away before you make things worse. Trump then federalized 2,000 National Guard troops in California and deployed them in LA. By this point, the last unit should be there. Now, we also seen Hegseth yesterday on Sunday, the 8th. He put Marines in San Diego on notice that they may get deployed to LA. This morning, word has come out that 500 Marines from the 2nd Battalion of the 7th Marines are on standby for deploying to LA. Their orders reportedly are, when they would get to LA, they will not be doing law enforcement duties. They will be reporting for duty as guards around federal facilities in LA, such as the ICE facilities, courthouse, and that stuff. By doing that, that will then free up the National Guard so that they can pull their people away from those buildings. Law enforcement can pull most of their people away from those buildings, and they can then react to the rioting. Now, Newsom and other Democratic governors are saying this is unconstitutional. It is unprecedented. No, it is not. I actually seen a video this morning, I think it was from J.D. DeLay, where he pointed out that presidents have done this at least 7 times since the late 1950s. And I'm old enough to remember the LA riots in 1992 when Bush federalized law enforcement, or federalized the National Guard and deployed them in LA. And Bug Out Bushido actually posted this morning, he was in the Marine Corps at that time, stationed in California, and he was deployed to LA during those riots. So this is not unprecedented, it's not unconstitutional. The National Guard can be used in a limited law enforcement role, from my understanding. You know, they can't go out and arrest people for speeding and stuff like that, but when it comes to rioting, it's in their mission statement. They can respond to that. The Marines are not going in under a law enforcement capacity to arrest people. They are going in to protect federal facilities. So that is not a violation of posse comitatus. It's real funny to see leftists who have been screaming about federal troops should be deployed against conservatives across the country because they're potential domestic violent extremists. Now they're screaming that federal troops shouldn't be used on American soil to protect federal facilities because it violates posse comitatus. It's funny. Now, what is it you need to be aware of on this stuff? Since the inauguration in January of this year, Alex Jones, who I don't fully trust or believe on everything, he has been reporting or saying continuously since the inauguration, he believed that once we got into summer, that we would see protests and riots related to the deportations. Well, we're starting to see that. What's the next step that he says is going to happen in a sequence? He said that first off, we'll see the rioting and the protests. Then we will see at least one false flag attack at these protests. And the one that they're probably going to hit will be actual protesters, not rioters. At that event, you will see white people come in who will be dressed up as MAGA or dressed up as Patriots. And they will do one of three likely scenarios. First off, a mass shooting, coming in and hosing people down, leaving, MAGA material behind, yelling, God bless Donald Trump, that type of stuff for the cameras. It'll all be staged, but the casualties will be real. The other likely event is we will possibly see some type of car bombing or IED strikes against, once again, the peaceful protests, not the rioters. And they're going to make sure to show bleeding women and children on the news. And they will talk about this was done by militia violent extremists, this was done by MAGA supporters, this is Trump's fault. The next possible attack that we could see in this false flag is a possible, as we call it now, the truck of peace activities. See someone come running through with a frickin' semi or an SUV plowing through a crowd of actual peaceful protesters, all on camera, with probably a MAGA flag on the back or an American flag hanging outside the vehicle, just plowing through the protesters, running them down, all on camera. So that's what we need to be on the alert for. I anticipate that these types of activities probably will happen sometime in the next 48 hours. Now, what will happen after that? After that, you will see more of a response from Trump because he will have to. Because at that point, once you had the false flag or false flags attacks on the peaceful protesters, you're going to see a lot more rioting, probably to the point where it's going to make 2020 look like it was just a simulation. Things will get worse. Trump will have to respond. He will mobilize more of the National Guard. He will call up more federal troops deploying them to federal facilities. You will see more governors condemning it as the actions of a dictator. Things will continue to escalate, continue to get worse. You'll start seeing deployment of armed leftist groups, such as Doll Squad, that Bucky's been mentioning up in Oregon. You'll see groups along those lines, the real militant ones, will start getting involved, and they'll start attacking people also. They'll start attacking conservatives. And they'll say that they're doing it as retaliation for federal overreach. You can see it, it will continue to escalate. Another thing that I anticipate we probably will see, not on the initial false flag attack, but on something following that, we could see the activation of the neo-Nazi wannabes here in the United States. We've been seeing them getting stoked up big time since the inauguration. I have seen that too on the channels I look at on Telegram that are neo-Nazi. You see a lot more postings in there about they need to do something. They need to be more proactive. They need to start attacking illegal immigrants. They need to start attacking Jews. They need to start attacking blacks. I've seen more and more of that rhetoric out there on those sites. I've also seen members in those sites, ones that are extremists, starting to go dark. They are starting to turn off their social media. Does that mean they're distancing themselves because they've turned around? No, that type of activity is something with these types of people, the extremists, you see them do that before they anticipate going operational. So we could potentially see some neo-Nazi type attacks going on too against these protests, against these rioters. Now the neo-Nazis going dark, we've been seeing that more over the last 2 months, really since April, end of March, early April is when we started seeing more and more of that happening. And like I said, it was the more extremist people on those forums on Telegram. So this will continue to escalate. Now, what could the final outcome be? I think what we're going to is potentially going to happen, if they can get enough people outraged, enough people emotional over everything that's going on, what they will have happen then is you will have governors start talking about secession. It will go to the state legislatures, and then you'll start hearing states saying that, well, we can't be a part of this dictatorship anymore. America has fallen. The federal government is not following the Constitution. We need to separate and form our own new country, a new United States. And it'll probably be some type of Democratic Republic of the United States, some bullshit reason like that, a name like that. I'm sure they've already focus grouped the name and everything's all ready to go. Which will be the first state to go? I think right now it's going to be a toss-up between California and Minnesota. And the reason I'm throwing Minnesota in there is all the attention Governor Walz has been getting. This is an idiot who's been in politics for years. And over the past couple months here, especially the last 2 months, you've been seeing the media has really been focusing on him and all the stupid shit he's been saying. You know, I think they're trying to stoke his ego to make him feel like he's more important than he actually is. So I think maybe they're trying to build up Walz to get him to the point where he'll be the first one to declare secession from the United States. But I could see Newsom doing it also, because already you have almost the entire government of California is freaking out because they love their illegals, they love their cartels, they love the narcotics on the streets, they love the child trafficking, the human trafficking, the slavery that happens behind the scenes that, you know, is all over California, especially Southern California. They seem to love that stuff. So I think it'll probably be between those two states, and then one, especially after California would do it, because California would be looked at as the economic powerhouse of this democratic republic of the formerly United States. Once California does it, then you'll see other democratic states do the same thing. You could see things like Oregon, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts. You know, those states will start tossing their names into the ring for seceding from the U.S. Remember, they did telegraph this last year with that stupid movie Civil War that all of us looked at and pointed out how stupid it was. And the main thing that was coming out at us was, well, why would something like this happen? It was never explained in a movie. Well, that was to get the idea in our minds. That's why they did that. And now they're trying to make it happen. The idea is in people's minds. Try to get them to be emotional, because when they're emotional, they don't think rationally, they don't think logically. Get them emotional. They'll remember that movie. And then, hey, let's actually do it for real type things. Now, what should you do, especially people in the militia? You need to keep your eyes open as to what's going on in news. Watch for when the false flag starts to happen. There'll be one at least. The question is, the reaction after that false flag will determine if there's going to be any further ones, or if it's all going to die down at that point and disappear. If we get to the point that states do secede from the United States of America, I would highly, highly recommend Patriots inside those states that secede. I highly recommend you go active. And what do I mean by going active? You are now in rebel territory. You are now in a state that is at war with the United States of America. You are in a state that is at war with the United States Constitution. These states that secede will not be constitutional republics. They will be communist, democratic people's republics. Kill a commie for mommy. That saying will probably make an appearance here on a lot of bumper stickers and spray painted on a lot of billboards in not too long if we start seeing states start to secede. Patriots in those states, right after secession, continue purchasing as much food and supplies as you can. You probably won't be able to get ammunition. You probably won't be able to get magazines. You damn sure won't be able to get firearms. All that stuff will probably be confiscated by the states for the war effort. But food, especially shelf-stable stuff that has a long time before it goes bad, medical supplies, stock those up after the secession. That's probably going to be some of the few things you can get a hold of in the stores. Increase what you get. Get that stuff set aside, packed up, preserved for long-term storage for when you're going to need it. Get additional caches out, whatever you need to do. And above all, monitor law enforcement and National Guard activity in the states that secede. Monitor what they're doing, where they're at. When things go hot, you go hot. But during that tension period right after the secession, don't start pulling the trigger at that point. Monitor the situation, get as much intel as you can. Potentially get some of those fence sitters who are seeing what's going on and they don't agree with it. Maybe you should start bringing them into the fold, bringing them in as prospects, as recruits into your groups. Vet them as best you can. You damn sure must be training or preparing at that point. Leadership. At that point, when secession starts happening, you must begin discussions of operational planning. That is the point when you need to start talking about, hey, what do we do in this situation? What do we do in this situation? What's potential targets? What is a threat to us? Remember to follow the laws of war. Do not hurt non-combatants. Do not hurt innocent civilians. Identify who your enemy is so that when the shooting starts, you know that who the enemy is, you can identify him, and you can take care of him as needed. Now, when states start seceding, I highly recommend, whether you're a community defense group, a MAG group, a militia, just a batch of Patriots, start meeting in secret, random locations, not in people's houses, not at work. Random places in the countryside. Do not bring your cell phones. Leave it at home. Do not turn it off. Leave it in your vehicle. Leave it at home. If your vehicle has GPS or Wi-Fi connection or any of that, do not use that vehicle to go to the meetings. Locations you should have meetings at, just random spots out in the country. Literally just the side of a road, on a country road in the middle of nowhere. You know, not at a particular location like, hey, let's go to this rest stop here or this park here. Just random places in the middle of nowhere. Have your discussion. Keep it short. Keep it on point. And then everyone disperses, goes different directions back home. Get the ideas now? The types of things you should be doing at this moment and where this could be leading to. Now, hopefully all of this dies out. Hopefully people keep their intelligence about them and do not get emotional. Hopefully law enforcement is able to quash this stuff but quick before a false flag is committed. But if they don't, if we start seeing that talk of secession, we start seeing false flags happening, you need to get really serious really fast. And always remember OPSEC, operational security. As they said in World War II, loose lips sink ships. And those loose lips could be yours, as what you say out loud or you type on your computer is picked up in a surveillance dragnet. Overheard by your cell phone. Overheard by that microphone that's inside your computer. Yes, they do have them, even though they don't say they're in there. They're in there. Overheard by that microphone that's hidden in your little cable box. Those were identified back in the 90s. I even asked questions on it back in the 90s. Why, when the cable boxes came out, did it have that little thing on the front of it that said microphone? Think of OPSEC and start doing some planning now. Talk to people within your groups. Start wargaming. What are we going to do if something happens? Not necessarily to combat operations, but what are you going to do if a riot happens in this city? Or what are you going to do if this event happens? Start talking about that stuff now. Now I got stuff I gotta do. I gotta cut it off here, and I've gone a lot longer than I was going to. Now, for all my engineer brothers across the Patriot and militia movements, for all Patriots out there right now, pray to God that He prevents stuff from getting stupid. But if things do get stupid, that He will protect you and your loved ones, and you will make it through whatever happens. Always remember, essayons, let us try.